welcome to the Goals with God show. I am Coach Caitlin and I'm your guide on this journey to setting your goals with God. Thank you for being here today. If this is your first time tuning in to a Goals with God show, I would invite you to find out more about who I am at CoachCaitlin.com. You can find out more there, but I also especially encourage you to watch episodes 1 through 4, and those can be found on the Life Network for Women app or the Coach Caitlin YouTube channel. And I want to encourage you to watch it all because this is season 1. And what we're going through in season 1, I want to dive right in. In season 1, we are taking a journey to find out how to transform our life and leadership in 60 minutes a day. Transform our life and leadership in 60 minutes a day. Now, you may say, hey, I am not a leader in an organization. Well, the truth is that we all lead someone somewhere, and we definitely all lead ourselves. And so finding out how to transform our life and leadership in 60 minutes a day is something that is relevant for all of us ladies, no matter where we are or what walk of life we are in. And, for me, if this is your first time tuning in, I'm a new mom, and balancing how to learn truly how to manage our time and be proactive in what we do and who we are. And so I'm going to give you a little overview of what we've been talking about, and we are going to dive right into our episode today, which is on the law of consistency. So in episode 1, just to review, the teacher and me, the coach and me wants to review. Again, if you haven't seen those episodes, make sure you go back and watch season 1, episodes 1 through 4, as we are on episode 5 today. And this is all cohesive. So we're doing one topic for season 1, and that is how to transform your life and leadership in 60 minutes a day. But on episode 1, I really broke it down why this is important. And I shared a brief story about how I had all these intentions of going to the church one day, but I ended up going to the gym. Why? Because it was comfortable to me. It was comfortable to me, and I zoned out and ended up at the place of comfort versus the place that I was destined to go to. And we talked about how oftentimes that is how it is in life. We have all these intentions of going and achieving these certain goals, of going and becoming these certain people. But over time, we begin to drift off and we zone out in our life, and we end up at a place of comfort versus a place of destiny. I'll say that again. We end up at a place of comfort versus a place of destiny. And we talked about how important it is for us, in order not to do that, in order for us not to zone out and end up at the place of comfort, we have to begin and end up at the place of destiny. We have to begin to be proactive in our lives. I talked about how we'll either in our life deal with the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. We'll either deal with the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And it's up to us, it's up to you and me what we choose to deal with. Are we going to deal with regret? Are we going to deal with the pain of discipline? It talked about how when we are reactive to our life, what does that mean? We're reactive to what happens in the day. We're not intentional about it. What happens is that reactive days turn into reactive weeks. Reactive weeks turn into reactive years. Reactive years turn into reactive decades, and reactive decades turn into a reactive life. And guess what? A reactive life will always leave you at the end regretful for the opportunities you didn't take, the goals you didn't accomplish, and the purpose that you did not fulfill. But on the other hand, if we have proactive days, we'll have proactive weeks. Proactive weeks turn into proactive months. Proactive months turn into proactive years. Proactive years turn into proactive decades. And proactive decades lead you to the end of your life being a person who has fulfilled their purpose and is positive. Why? Because you know deep down that you fulfilled your purpose in this life, and that when you meet God in heaven, that you are going to hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant." I want you to take a moment right here and just think about that. Think about how great it will feel to just get to heaven at the end of your long, prosperous life and hear God say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Guess what? That only happens if we are intentional each and every day about transforming our life and leadership. And that happens through being proactive, not reactive, proactive. So we talked about that in episode 1, and I told you how through season 1, I was going to and am your guide in telling you why we need to grow, why this is important. You ever heard a kid say, why? Why do I need to do this? Why? I have a niece. My son's not to the age yet because he is only 4 months old. So he's not asking why yet because he's not talking. But when he does, I know I'll be hearing why a lot. But my niece and my nephews who are of age, they ask why a lot. And we can go through, saying, why is personal growth important? So I wanted to break that down. I am a certified John Maxwell team leadership coach. And one of my favorite books that John ever wrote was The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And it talks about 15 incredible laws about why it's so important that we grow personally every single day. And it goes through 15 laws, and they're incredible. But I decided to break down 5 of the laws that I have found. Starting in 2015, I personally went on a personal growth journey. And these are the 5 laws over my time, 10,000 hours of study, beginning to study this, practices. These are the 5 laws that I think are most crucial. And so for these first 5 episodes, we're going to finish the 5th law today. We're learning why it's important to have personal growth. We learned in episode 1 what we're going to be talking about. We learned in episode 2 the law of intentionality, why it's intentional. And actually, we're going over 4, not 5 laws, the 4 top laws in this season. We learned about the law of intentionality. Growth doesn't just happen. We have to be intentional about it. Change is automatic. Growth is optional. We're all going to change. Our bodies change. Our lives change. Our age changes. We go through changes automatically, but growth is optional. We have to be intentional about it. In episode 3, we learned about the law of awareness. Why do we need to grow? Not only because we have to be intentional, but because we need to be aware. You must know yourself to grow yourself. We talked about how important it is to be aware of our strengths, our weaknesses, and that way we know what areas we need to grow in, and we know what areas we need to just shy away from because those are not our giftedness. So the law of awareness. In episode 4, we learned about the law of the mirror. You must see value in yourself to add value to yourself. You must see value in yourself to add value to yourself. And oftentimes that is something that we, especially as women, we don't value ourselves enough to take time to pour into ourselves. Between the hustle and bustle of motherhood, but perhaps you're a wife, perhaps you're single and you're focusing on your career. Perhaps you're watching this and you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing with my life. I'm just over here struggling, walking through. I want to encourage you that when you see value in yourself, because guess what? The creator of the universe, he sees value in you. And so you have value. Therefore, you must add value to yourself. And that happens through personal growth. And so that's a bit of the review of what we've been going through so far. And again, if you've missed those episodes, make sure you go back and check them out. If you want to get to know more about, because I want to dive into this lesson. If this is the first time you're hearing Coach Caitlin Goals with God, go to CoachCaitlin.com, check out those resources, check out the bio there. But I want to dive into the law of consistency. That's what we're going to be talking about today. The law of consistency. We must be consistent in our day-to-day lives in order to grow. Growth comes through consistent change. You ever been to the gym? You have to consistently go. It's not about the one time. It's about every day. I want to tell you a story. So I am one of 3 girls. I'm the middle girl. So shout out to all of you middle children watching this today. I appreciate you. Shout out. But I am one of 3 girls, and growing up, in order to be able to afford us all, my dad was a pastor, but he was also an owner of several companies. And one of those companies was a big commercial tree service. And so he would go across I'm from Atlanta, so he would go across all of Atlanta and even in different states, and he would cut down trees and And then in the winter, he would use those trees and he would chop them to sell firewood. And so we learned a lot. Sometimes, when you have a busy working parent, the way you spend time with them is you go to work with them. And so if you can imagine and picture 3 girls bundled up in clothes, because of course it's close to winter, and we are bundling up and we're going down there. I mean, of course, it was about the quality time. We were never that helpful, except we could do the little twigs. We could pick those up and put them in the truck. Other than that, we were not much help, but we were good company, I think. But in order for him to chop down the trees, I remember over and over again that there would be some tree stumps that you chopped that were so easy to break through. I mean, super easy. My dad's a super strong guy, and he would just hit that stump and the wood would just split automatically. But there were some that were really tough. Maybe that tree had almost died or whatever it was. It was a really tough tree to get chopped. And so he had an electric splitter, but oftentimes the really tough trees, the tough stumps, he would have to use an axe on. And I remember as a little girl, seeing him with the tough ones, the tough pieces of wood that just wouldn't crack easy. And he would constantly, over and over, after he sharpened his axe, he would hit over and over in the same spot. Over and over, he would hit constantly. Pick the axe up, slam it down. Pick the axe up, slam it down. And that's probably even bad form. Clearly, I never touched the axe, but he would pick it up, slam it down. Pick it up, slam it down. Pick it up, slam it down. And eventually, after he kept hitting the same spot over and over again. And I mean, I remember watching this little girl, and your patience is so small. And you're like, Dad, are you ever going to get that? I mean, he was probably like, how offensive. Are you ever going to get that? Are you ever going to get that split? Because it seems like you're just having to hit it over and over and over again. And eventually he would split the tree and it would be awesome and everything. The wood would be awesome, but it took consistency over time. And I remember him saying, Caitlin, if you keep consistently hitting the same spot, eventually there's going to be a breakthrough. If you keep on consistently hitting the same spot, there eventually is going to be a breakthrough. And, in that moment, I was like, oh, that's cool. What a great lesson. Now that I think back on that, I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, that will preach. That is incredible. Because it's the power of the law of consistency. When you hit the same place over and over again, you are going to get a breakthrough. For me personally, as I've seen coaching clients, as I've seen people that I've spoken with as a pastor's wife, and a pastor's daughter, as I've seen people deal with different things, one of the things that has been something that I have noticed over and over again is that people give up too soon. People give up too soon. And lady, can I tell you today, girl, sis, can I tell you today that you are only going to transform your life and leadership? Yes, the law of intentionality, you have to be intentional. Yes, the law of awareness, you have to know yourself. Yes, the law of the mirror, you have to see value in yourself to add value to yourself. But guess what? You also have to consistently grow yourself. You have to consistently show up each and every day to become all that God has created you to be. So today, again, why do we grow? And this is the last one on why do we grow? The law of consistency. Motivation gets you going. Discipline keeps you growing. I'll say that again. The law of consistency. Motivation gets you going. Discipline keeps you growing. Motivation gets you going. Discipline keeps you growing. It's so awesome. I'm one of those people. I was a cheerleader in college all growing up, and man, motivation. I love being motivated. I love going to motivational seminars. I love hearing a motivational message that is just, oh, I want to go out and conquer it. Even at the beginning of the new year, we're motivated. Oh, this is going to be the goals I'm going to achieve. This is what I'm going to accomplish. But guess what? Motivation, I have found, dies very quickly in comparison to discipline. You can totally be motivated to lose weight. The discipline to show up at the gym on cold mornings when you don't feel like it and you'd rather climb back under those covers, not fun. You want to write that book. God's calling you to write a book. The discipline of showing up to writing, not so fun. The discipline of figuring out how you're going to publish that book, not so fun. You want to start a business and you're motivated to start a business for God and God's calling you to this. Guess what? Sounds great. Fun motivation. The discipline to actually do the work that's necessary is not easy. It's not fun. It's not something that you really want to do day in and day out. We have to realize, though, that motivation can only get us going so far. It's discipline that keeps us growing and that separates us from those who achieve their goals with God and those who wish with goals with God. Did you hear what I was saying? This consistency is what separates those. Consistent growth, consistent dedication to the goal God has set before you is what separates those who are success and those who are unsuccessful, those who are reactive to life and those who are proactive to life. We have to be consistent. I love this quote that says, "The hallmark of excellence, the test of greatness, is consistency." The hallmark of excellence and the test of greatness is consistency. Ladies, we have to be consistent in our pursuit of God every single day. We're showing up, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 10 minutes. Mamas, whether you are having to just pray to the Lord in the shower, whether you have to write down a scripture on a card and stick it in your rearview mirror, not your rearview mirror. My husband tells me that that is not actually for makeup. That is actually to look in the back. So ladies, that's a total tip. I remember my husband, this total side note. I remember my husband getting in my car and being like, "Why is the rearview mirror turned?" And I was like, "Because it's for your makeup." And he's like, oh my gosh, you're not allowed to drive anymore. No, but it's actually to look. Anyway, that's a free tip, ladies. But you can stick it somewhere in the dashboard, stick it somewhere where you can see it, stick it on your mirror, get some sticky notes. And even maybe you only have time to read a proverb of the day. Maybe you only have time to listen to the word. Maybe you only have time to say the Lord's Prayer in the shower. It doesn't matter how much. It matters that you show up. It doesn't matter how much you do. It matters that you show up consistently, whatever goal that is. And I want you to really consider, what goals does God have for me? What goals does God have for me to achieve? What goals? And then consistently figure out a way you can show up. You know, I have a client, I won't say her name. I'll say Susan so I don't give her name away. But Susan really got out of the habit. It's so frustrating because it's hard to start a habit, but so easy to stop good habits. And Susan, she had been in the habit of working out, and that was one of the goals. And God really had spoken to her about being in shape for the calling that He had for her life. And it sounded so great and so easy, but what she found is that if she started and stopped, it started and stopped, it really just broke her. And so she started consistently showing up at small times. So basically what this looked like is, instead of going from no working out to working out 11 days in a row for 2 hours, she decided that I'm going to show up to work out 5 minutes every day. She wanted to get in the practice of consistency. So she showed up 5 minutes every single day. She moved forward, she moved forward, she moved forward. Once she was consistent with 5 minutes, she showed up for 10. And this all built up until she did get to where she was one of those people who are consistent fitness people. I know I am, just because I find it fun, and exercise produces endorphins, and endorphins make people happy, and happy people don't kill their husbands. Another side note. But she showed up consistently every day. And guess what? Now working out is a habit that she has, as a way she personally grows. So what am I saying? I'm saying that whatever goal that God has called you to, you may be in a season where you do not have a lot of time. I encourage you to pray that God would show you the hours that you have in a day. Evaluate your week. I'm all about the practical. So evaluate your week. Look at your appointments. Look at your kids' typical schedule, unless they're going through the sleep regressions. Lord help. That's where we're at right now in my stage with my little one. But look at your schedule and see. We all have some hours, some moment in the day, and you may only truly be able to find 10 minutes in your day. Show up consistently for what God has called you to. Ask God, where do you want me to show up this year consistently? Where do you want me to show up this year consistently? And it's never too late to change a year. It's never too late to get started, whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall. You have the ability to show up strongly into what God's called you to do and to start over. And so I want you to take time after today's episode to really evaluate your schedule. Two step. Evaluate your schedule. Where do you have time? How much extra time do you have? Do you have 30 extra minutes a day where you could maybe, I know you hate this, but or you could cut off the housewives, or you could, and you're like, I never watch Housewives. Girl, please. I'm just kidding. You may not. Where you can cut off the TV, or you can get up a few minutes earlier, which I know for us young mamas out there that getting up earlier, it's like, no, I need the sleep. But maybe this is time where God's calling you to sacrifice. I love when the Bible, it talks about the sacrifice of praise. And sometimes I find that my sacrifice of praise may not be standing up and worshiping all the time. But my sacrifice of praise may be, God, I'm going to sacrifice 20 minutes of extra sleep so that I can get down and read my word. I'm going to sacrifice 20 extra minutes of this show that I just want to relax and numb my mind after a long day. I'm going to read my word. I'm going to listen to a sermon. I'm going to write those pages of that book you've been telling me to write. I'm going to study about how to do that business. I'm going to work that network marketing business that you've entrusted me with. I'm going to cut off the TV and begin to connect with the people that you've called me to. I'm going to get up early and send those texts that you've been telling me to do. I'm going to talk to my pastor and volunteer in the area that you've been telling me to do, God. Sometimes the sacrifice of praise is making time in our day to show up consistently. So, number one, evaluate your schedule. Find out how much time you have. And you perhaps are in a stage of life where you have a lot of extra time. Awesome. To whom much is given, much is required. So God has something great for you to do consistently, a great goal. And figure that out. And the second thing I want you to do is I want you to ask God, what is the goal? Not goals. Notice I didn't say goals. God may give you the ability to have multiple goals. Maybe when you ask God, He'll have 3 goals for you. But oftentimes what I found as a coach is that we have to consistently show up to one goal before we can do the next one. It's called mental momentum. In order to get mental momentum, we have to consistently show up for one goal, achieve it, and then consistently show up for another goal. And that is personal growth. That is personal growth and choosing. That's why it's important. Personal growth in whatever area we choose to be consistent in allows us to become better people, to do better things. And so ask God, number one, where do you have free time in your schedule? Really evaluate it. And number 2, realize what goal God wants you to show up consistently for. And I believe that there are some of you watching this that God's really been talking to you just about simply showing up every single day, consistently showing up. Remember, motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. Motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. And we have to consistently show up, because guess what? Consistently showing up each day to read 5 pages of a book is going to compound over time. It's called the compound effect. If we show up each and every day to maybe the gym, even if it's 5 minutes, eventually that is going to compound to where we crave that exercise and it goes longer. If you show up to read every day, if you consistently do that for 5 minutes, you're going to start craving to read longer. If you show up consistently every day to say a prayer, read your proverb of the day, you're going to consistently compound that and want to do it longer. I will tell you, for me, when I began to realize that one of the things God wanted me to do was begin to show up consistently in my quiet time and in my personal growth. He wanted me to become a reader, because leaders are readers. He wanted me to become a daily reader of a growth book and showing up in my word, showing up reading my Bible consistently and in prayer. And so I didn't really do that before I really loved my sleep. But in 2015, I began to feel the challenge and the tug to do that. I was the girl who was like, breakfast or sleep. I'm going to go with sleep. And if I had to be somewhere at 8:30 and it took me 20 minutes to get there, I was getting up at 8 o'clock on the dot, getting dressed, running out the door. Maybe you can relate. But God started challenging me. So what I started doing is consistently getting up 10 minutes earlier. I started out that first month. 10 minutes earlier, I would read a proverb, because for every day of the month. So if it's the first of the month, there's Proverbs 1. If it's the 20th of the month, there's Proverbs 20. So I would read a proverb of the day. I would say the Lord's Prayer, and I would literally put a sticky note in a book and read 5 pages of that book. The Lord's Prayer, a proverb, and a sticky note of 5 pages in a personal growth book. And I did that consistently for 10 minutes. Every single day led up, and then that led to 20 minutes, and then that I did 20 minutes for a while, and then 30 minutes. It got to go longer. Why? Because consistently over time, I began to do it. Now I crave my hour in the morning, my power hour, which I'm going to teach you how to do in the last 3 episodes of season 1. But I crave that. Why? Because over time, I found that it helped me grow. And then I was able to apply that principle of consistently showing up in a small way and growing it over time to writing books. I've written 2 books, which you can find at CoachCaitlin.com and on Amazon. Habits Not Hopes and Slay and Pray. I found that through writing sermons. I found that through doing businesses. I found that being consistent over time and starting those little small habits in my day over time, they compounded. I want to read this. The successful person has a habit of doing the things that failures don't like to do. The successful person doesn't like to do them either, but his dislike is subordinated to the strength of his purpose. I'm going to read that again. The successful person has the habit of doing the things that failures don't like to do. The successful person doesn't like doing them either, but this dislike is subordinate to the strength of his purpose. We have to realize that our comfort is less important than our commitment to our purpose, our commitment to our goals with God. And we have to consistently show up every day. As much as we'll show up for something that we enjoy, maybe it's a paint night with the girls, maybe it's a dinner with a family, maybe it's going to the beach, maybe it is your show that you were just committed to, you love This Is Us, or whatever show that is. You need to be that committed to the purpose and call God has in your life. Why? Because our purpose, us fulfilling the goals God has for us, God always has a plan. So us fulfilling our goals that God has for us impacts somebody else's life. God doesn't just have us fulfill goals for ourselves. He has them fulfill goals because they impact other people. So we have to consistently show up. And I'll close with this quote by Andrew Wood. I love this. Where many people go wrong in trying to reach their goals is consistently looking for the big hit, the home run, the magic answer that suddenly transforms their dreams into reality. The problem is that the big hit never comes without a great deal of little hits first. Success, listen, success in most things comes not from some gigantic stroke of fate, but for simple incremental progress. If you're going to achieve the incredible goals, which I know God has for your life, is going to come from daily discipline of consistently showing up. So what's the steps? Number 1, take a good look at your schedule. Where do you have free time? And number 2, what goal or goals does God want you to show up for every single day and consistently pursue so that you can fulfill the purpose and call God has on your life? So practice the law of consistency this week. Remember, it's motivation that gets us going, but discipline that keeps us growing. And remember, your goals matter if we do them with God and fulfill our purpose, because somebody is waiting on your purpose to be fulfilled, because your purpose is linked to their purpose. Thank you for tuning in to this great episode. To find out more about me, those books that I told you about, and to check out more of the Goals with God episodes in this season 1, episodes 1 through 4, you can go to CoachCaitlin.com. And for the episodes, you can go to the Life Network for Women app, and you can go to the Coach Caitlin YouTube channel. Thank you for being a part. And remember, I'm here to guide you to fulfill your goals with God. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.